Every single day so many disasters happen around the world, but some are so
popular and disturbing
that you might have actually lived through one without noticing. Today we will be going over these incidents, so make sure to like and subscribe to stay safe. Don't worry, I'll protect you. I'm sure we've all heard of volcanoes and what they do. Volcanoes can be cool, but if you go close to them and they erupt, it can get pretty scary. Now, what if I told you that some people lived on an island and when the volcano erupted, it turned everyone into ash? Scary, right? Let's find out what happened together.
The Pompeii eruption was way more horrifying than you thought, and was far worse than what you learned. But why? First off, you would have zero warning signs. At the time, the city of Pompeii had no idea they were living next to one of the deadliest volcanoes in the world.
Okay guys, this is actually kind of crazy. Like, imagine living on an island for many years but not knowing that the world's deadliest volcano is right beneath you.
Thinking it was just a mountain, not realizing pressure was slowly building up inside over the past 700 years that lived there. And on a normal day in 79 AD, you would suddenly feel the ground violently shaking, followed by one of the loudest explosions in history, nearly blowing out your eardrums. Mount Vesuvius has erupted, where smaller towns near the base of the volcano were instantly vaporized and killed by 900-degree gases. But all the way in Pompeii, you wouldn't even realize what's about to happen, looking in the sky, seeing a massive cloud of smoke and ash filling the air. But surprisingly, many didn't run, staying in the city thinking they were at a safe distance, when only 10 minutes later, everything would instantly go pitch black. Ash and smoke traveling hundreds of miles per hour coated the city in seconds. People were immediately blocked inside their homes, literally turning their houses into ovens. In only minutes, buildings collapsed and streets were covered in ash taller than you, making it impossible for you to run away in time. The sound of debris and ash was also extremely loud, like a constant hissing, making it extremely hard for you to communicate in the darkness.
Wow, chestnuts. The last time I checked, this is like one of my biggest fears. I'm so happy none of us had to live through that.
Within minutes, hundreds of people already suffocated. But it gets worse. If you still somehow survived, only a few hours later, a wave of superheated gas over 500 degrees swept the city at 100 miles per hour. Even if you were safe inside your home, you would instantly start choking on the air and suffocate from burning hot gas in your lungs. Where in a matter of one day, the entire city of Pompeii and all areas in the region were gone, taking the lives of over 16,000 people.
Imagine going through this with nowhere to go and nowhere to hide. I'm not too sure what happened to the city after that incident, but it's definitely labeled as one of the most
horrific incidents in history.
We've all fallen ill at some point, whether it be a cold or a more serious disease. But what if I told you one disease wiped out an entire city and almost the entire world? And this actually happened again not too long ago.
The Black Death was far more disturbing than you thought, and was way closer to killing us than you realize. But how? It all began with a singular merchant ship coming from Asia arriving in Sicily. But something was off. As they docked, you would discover nearly all the sailors on board were either dead or covered in black boils the size of eggs. In a panic, the ship was ordered to leave, but it was already too late. Infected rats, fleas, and sailors left the ship just before, where the disease spread almost instantly within the town of Messina. You would be unknowingly spreading it to everyone around you, where entire neighborhoods and families were slowly starting to get sick. But it was about to get much worse, because only about 2 to 3 weeks later, you would suddenly start to see entire families dying within days of each other, and bodies piling up in the streets. Even doctors and priests treating families started dying as well.
Chestnuts, this is like another no-no for me as well. Like, what do you mean there was a virus that was taking everyone out? And the way it was so contagious made me feel so scared for everyone who caught it. I would just sit in my room all day,
resulting in a mass wave of panic. People were covered in black boils, had high fevers, and were vomiting blood. And within a matter of only months, it spread all across southern Europe, causing entire towns to be killed off and abandoned. At one point, the plague even turned airborne, where you could get infected just by being next to someone. Now spreading even more rapidly, sweeping through major cities, and killing off nearly half the population everywhere it touched. But it gets darker. Over 2 years in, Europe was collapsing. Hundreds of thousands of people were dying no matter what city or town you moved to. People tried tons of different practices and cures, but nothing would save you. And in the third year, the plague was killing everything. Millions of people and even animals were dying. Being so deadly, you would die within only 2 to 7 days after infection. And about 4 years in, the populations got so low, it was running out of hosts, finally starting to slow down. But the damage was already done. Nearly 50 to 60% of people in Europe were gone, and millions of more across the world, with a death toll around 50 to 200 million victims.
This is a shocker, as the whole world could have been gone if this continued. There would be no you, no me, and definitely no videos. I'm glad that we managed to defeat this virus, and this is definitely one of the darker incidents to have happened. What do you think? so I'm assuming most of us have been on a plane before or gone on holiday somewhere. Well, there was actually this really viral incident where this plane could hijacked, and it was a really scary experience for the pilot. Surprisingly, this incident has actually gone viral on TikTok. So let's take a look at it together.
But for some reason, the hijackers weren't having it. They had reportedly read on an in-flight magazine on the plane that the type of Boeing 767 they were on could fly a max capacity of 11 hours. To the hijackers, Mr. Abate was lying to get an emergency landing. Mr. Abate, however, refuted strongly and insisted that he wasn't lying, showing the men that the fuel indicator on the plane only indicated enough for a flight to Kenya. But still, the hijackers did not care and continued to threaten Mr. Abate, saying that if he didn't meet their demands, they would do the job.
This has to be one of the most pressurizing moments ever, especially for a pilot. I feel so bad.
Pilots in these situations are trained to be able to land aircraft in such off-putting circumstances. And on top of this, because Abate had stalled the hijackers by talking to them for so long, instead of just turning out into the empty Indian Ocean, which would have certainly been fatal, he was now far enough south that he could now turn out into the Mozambique Channel, which was filled with islands where he might be able to land. So when Abate originally turned left towards Australia, he made the calculated decision to fly towards an island he had never even seen before. The Comoros, a small group of volcanic islands in the Mozambique Channel near Madagascar. He figured that once the hijackers saw the plane running out of fuel, he could convince them to let him glide the plane and land there.
So this plane landed in the middle of the water, and from what I heard, they barely ever survive. But I'm not too sure how the rest of this story goes, so you'll have to find out. I'm sure we've all heard of the Titanic before, whether that be through the movie or the recent news. But what if I told you that incident was a lot more horrific than you thought? Let's see how.
The Titanic was a lot more horrifying than you thought, and was far worse than what you learned. But why? First off, you would be sleeping when it hit the iceberg, waking up to a loud bang and shake in the middle of the night, and at first you wouldn't even realize what happened, most people going back to sleep thinking nothing of it. When only 20 minutes later you would start to hear commotion in the halls, being told to go to the top deck immediately, still in your night clothes thinking it was some kind of drill. At this point the crew already knew the ship was going down, but you wouldn't even know it yet, only feeling a very slight tilt in the ship. On the top deck they would try to keep you distracted by playing music while slowly releasing safety boats to prevent panic, where only women and children could escape first. But as time moved on, the tilting grew much worse, where people on the bottom deck would start to see water flowing through the halls and rooms, standing in a large crowd for over an hour waiting to hopefully get a lifeboat. But as the clock neared around 2 a.m., a slow realization would take place that there's not enough safety boats for everyone.
I would scream so loud at the point and I wouldn't even know what to do.
At this point, the entire ship would go into a full panic, needing to fight against the crowd to try to get onto the last few boats. Within the panic, the ship would tilt even more, causing the power to go out, which would be pitch black since there was no moonlight on that day. At around 2:18, the tilt would become so extreme it would eventually cause the ship to snap in half, many people flying off or being hit by debris. And if you somehow stayed on the ship, it was now rapidly sinking, where your only choice was to either dive into the pitch black 28 degrees water trying to find a lifeboat, or stay on the ship slowly being lowered into the water, freezing to death.
This is definitely one of the scarier stories here. This next video gets even worse though. Someone tries to kidnap a baby, and the kidnapper looks exactly like a skinwalker in disguise.
This footage right here literally is the reason I never ever want to leave my house again. Me and my husband don't really get out much together, so we hired a babysitter and went out to dinner. And my phone had an alert, and this is what we saw on the doorbell. We called our babysitter and told her to go into the master bedroom and lock herself in the bathroom. Told her basically nothing's wrong, just a precaution. And we left the restaurant and came right home. But on the way home, of course, I'm watching this. God, I don't know what was said.
It's so creepy how she's just staring into the camera with what looks exactly like a child. The lightning makes everything look scarier as well.
The whole video recorded as white noise, but clearly she has something in her hands and it looks like a baby. And there's a storm outside. I don't know what her intentions were until we saw what she did at the end, but before that she's just staring up into the sky. There was no rain, it was just thunder and lightning, constant. I had the babysitter on speakerphone on the way home while I'm watching this happen. We try to reassure her and let her know that the police are on their way. It won't be too long. What I saw next made my heart drop. The thing we can see her holding here that looks like a baby was a doll. She must have been using it as a prop to get into people's houses.
So you're telling me this skinwalker was pretending to hold a baby to get into the house? And if I was the babysitter, I would sue because I didn't sign up for this stress. I can't find much more about this story, but I'm assuming it all ended up happy. This next disturbing video caught on camera is actually very similar to the last one. Some random lady came up to a doorbell in the middle of the night, and for a split second she looked like a skinwalker too.
At 4:16 a.m. a random woman walks up to my doorway acting strangely. She starts looking inside my glass door, then does this.
First of all, why is a random woman just at a random house moving her head at night? The things she does and the way she moves just seems so uncanny. I think it might be a monster in disguise. And the way that the camera just flashes like that makes it scarier too. To be honest, after seeing this I would be freaked out of my mind. Like, who even does this if they're not a monster in disguise? This next unsettling video caught on camera is where we actually see the monster in 4000. And then the monster just stares at him as he's calling his friend for help.
Let's talk about one of the most unsettling videos out on the internet. The backyard humanoid creature video. If you're anywhere close to a backyard or a window, maybe it's not a good idea to watch this right now. But before I show you a bit of the video, let's break it down a little bit. On August 12th, 2017, user Richard Grebenik uploaded what many claim to be one of the most unsettling videos on the internet, called Evil Creature Caught on Tape by Rick Grebenik. And in the video, he'd be hanging out by his backyard, at night of course, and suddenly he'd see a strange white pale humanoid creature approaching him and staring at him. The video is actually quite unsettling, like he's panicking and he's on the phone with his pastor. Let me just show you, okay? If you can't see it, turn up your brightness. Here it is.
Hey Mike, I need you. This thing is freaky. It's on video. Huh?
Not a person?
No, it's an evil identity. It's evil entity. This thing's like wicked looking. You should see this thing, Mike. Oh my god. Like a gargoyle. It's like a gargoyle, man. Oh my gosh.
I command you to go in Jesus' name.
Yeah, no, if I saw that in my backyard, I would pass away on the spot. But don't worry, at the end, the pastor does a chant and it goes away.
And this thing is, oh my gosh.
It's kinda reassuring to know that there's a way to make the monster go away. Because if this was the average monster, it would just eat you on the spot.
Oh my.
Yeah, I don't know what he said either. But people in the comments are freaking out, saying, damn, even if it's fake, it's really creepy. Even some people relating to what Rick saw. Like, pause to read. What makes this video somewhat more believable, the fact that if you go to Rick's page, it is a totally normal page. Like, he just uploads himself singing. And that's the only weird video. Yeah, listen, fake or not, you gotta admit that if you saw that yourself in your backyard, you would also freak out. Like, if that's an actual human, that's terrifying. If that's like a humanoid creature, that's also even more terrifying. What do you guys think? Did Rick just make this video to go viral and have more views on his other videos? Or did Rick really encounter a strange, unknown creature that night? Let me know.
I honestly think there's a good chance it's a humanoid creature, because it just stood there. Regardless, a white figure just standing in your backyard at night is really creepy. In my opinion, this last disturbing video caught on camera is the worst as the monster starts talking. So don't watch this at 3 a.m. guys.
Who are you?
Please let me in.
Huh?
Please help me.
What? What's wrong with you?
It is to me.
What?
It took my daughter.
Burger?
Please let me inside.
Burger?
I won't play the rest of the video as it gets really bad from there guys. If you made it to the end, make sure to like and subscribe, and comment monster to confuse the others.